melody in the triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Same melody, but quite different in nature and quite different in the choreography. We are now going to directly go from the pavane to the galliard, and the title is Pavane, $1,000 in my pocket. The instruments that we were playing were recorders, quite common now because they're using them in the grade school for first steps in music. Music in the schools has a tremendous advantage to the kids with the recorder because unlike Mommy and Daddy's furniture, which they've been forbidden to touch until suddenly they are taking piano lessons, it is an easily purchasable $5 to $10 musical instrument that is your own. Unlike the piano, you go to it and you hit that key and magically music comes out and you can't understand why. All you do is breathe into this and you know that you are making the music. I can take a 5-year-old kid and teach him to play a song in 5 minutes. It is that easy to play. It is hard to perfect, but it is easy to play. Our instruments are the same names as the voices of a choir. A soprano, an alto, a tenor, and we don't have that's a tenor. And a bass, yeah. So like a choir, we are in 4 parts, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. The next piece that we're going to play for you uses a different family of instruments called the krum horns. Krum horns are crooked horns. Krum means crooked, and they certainly aren't straight. The interesting thing to me about this is that it is a reed instrument. I'm a bassoon player in real life, and I'm used to having a reed that I can control with my embouchure and my lips. I can't even touch the reed in here because it's inside this capsule. It's called an encapsulated reed. And like a bagpipe, all you can do is force air into it. You have to force the right amount because if you force too much, the reed closes up. So it just stops. If you don't have enough air, it fades, like a dying calf in a windstorm. The next group will have a quartet of krum horns: soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So you'll hear the sound of the krum horn in this piece, a galliard. one is going to combine our crumb horns and recorders together in a sprightly little tune called Hoggetowne, not from a town in New Jersey, but rather in Holland, where a village is called Hoboken, possibly the reason there's a Hoboken in New Jersey. In the Hoggetowne, we'll start with the crumb horn so you can get the sound of the buzzies again. We affectionately refer to them as our buzzies because that's the way they sound. Then I'm going to play a little in-between tune so that they can put down one weapon and pick up the other, which will be the recorders. Then they'll play on recorders. Then the third time through, after a little in-between, we'll play in with the crumb horns and together with the recorders. And on top of it, I'm going to do something that you think belongs to the jazz idiom, which is improvise. Improvisation goes way back to the Renaissance and particularly to the Baroque, which you take a melody and have fun with it. So listen to Hoggetowne, first on the crumb horn. Be ready and go. I'd like to introduce some of the other instruments that you see in front of you. From your right side is the sackbut. It looks like a trombone, and sackbut comes from two French words, push and pull, very appropriate. And in the middle, the viola da gamba, a wonderful cello-looking instrument, not a cello at all. 6 strings and frets, and built quite differently. It's the bass member of the viol family, and it's a lovely, lovely sound. This instrument that I'm playing is not something that you want to smoke, but rather it is a bass instrument from the double reed family. Remember I said the crumb horns do not touch the reed with your lips. With this, it is a directly controlled double reed. I can actually do things with my embouchure with the racket. It looks about as long as an alto recorder, and we would think there is a universal rule that the length of the instrument determines the pitch, whether it's high or low. The alto recorder is a higher instrument. You think that this is not quite as long, so it's going to be actually higher than the alto. Actually, it is not a high instrument. You need 8 feet of pipe for this. And all curled up inside here like an intestinal tract is 8 feet of tubing. So I can get that low C, which on my bassoon, which stands this tall, makes a U-turn and comes around like that, is the result of 8 feet of pipe. But the bassoon is quite bulky. This little pocket bassoon. So we're going to play for you another example of a tune that has a reprise, which means a repetition, that is different. So we'll play the tune, and you'll hear it's a duple, 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and then it goes into a triple, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. See if you can hear the difference between the two short sections. It will be da capo. 2, 3. Thank you. Instrumental musicians sometimes steal from song. There just wasn't a lot of music back then. There was enough to go around, but instrumental musicians hear a good song and they steal it and make it into an instrumental piece, such as the next piece, which is called Dit le Bourguignon, which means, the title says, the Burgundian said this. Now, we didn't steal the words, so I don't know what the Burgundian said. So let's listen to it. Maybe we could hear that what he is talking about, Gig Book page 62, might be humorous. One, some silences in there. Now what I would like you to do is be the percussion section for our group. In the silences, I want you to clap your hands twice together, real loud and real together. And it'll go like this. Bump, 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 bump. Ready, clap, clap. Try that. Bump, 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 bump. Ready? But together. You sound like a bunch of fourth graders. No, they can do it better, right? Once more. Bump, 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 bump. Ready? Good. Getting better. Gig book 48 and 49. More dances, in this case a volta or a pair of voltas. The neat thing about a volta is the name itself. It comes from, I believe, a Latin word to vault or to leap. And there's a marvelous painting of Elizabeth I, and she's about 2 feet in the air, where she's either vaulted by herself or been lifted by her partner. So there was a large body of voltas, a leaping dance. So imagine that Elizabeth and the court are dancing to these two voltas, leaping in the air. is also a song that we've stolen. It's called Bako Bako. And again, we didn't steal the words, so we don't know what the text is all about. Possibly it's about the Roman god Bacchus, the god of partying and wine and carrying on. Possibly it comes from the Italian word to kiss. It's probably a party song, which we'll play for you now. Thank you. Many of the songs sound very simple, and most of them were. For instance, that one is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2, and some of them are 1 and 2 and 3, and you can pat your foot very easily to it. The next one is not. It's a song, and again, I don't know all the text. The title is Vol auf Gut Gesell von Hinnen, and it probably is a party song. Gut Gesell means my good friend. And in this, the composer, Jakob Meilen, has given us some quite difficult rhythms. And we hang together because we played it enough and wept over it. But I dare you to try to pat your foot the way you can to the other stuff. Dum-dee-dum, to patting your foot. Very easy to pat your foot there. But not in Vol auf. Climb over. Twice through. 2, 3, 4. Okay, another song without words, but we can sort of figure it out. It's called The Spanish Cavalier, and this is going to be with our crumhorn ensemble, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So you'll hear the same voices as alto. It's a soprano line played on an alto, soprano, alto, tenor. And so you'll hear the 4 voices. They're the 4 voices. So, Jolene, I didn't know I was going to have to play this. I got lost. It happens. Once more from the beginning.
That sounded great.
Go ahead. Very good. I'd like to skip now to something called the Entrance of the Fools. Susan, page 10. The musicians back then were not really respected. They were just servants, sometimes not very well respected servants. They either played up in the musicians' gallery or they paraded in and played for the nobility. Now the musicians down at the village level were respected, and there are wonderful paintings of dancers, and usually there's a bagpiper there, and usually he's sitting at a table with a big overflowing thing of beer right next to him. So he was not only respected, he was taken care of. This, however, is called the Entrance of the Fools, and probably the musicians had to play it as they marched into the gallery or marched into the banquet hall in order to play for the guests. Who's on? Good. All right. Contrasting to that, let's do the Dance of the King, 99 page 5. The Dance of the King. The nobility back then took pride in being able to dance. There's a marvelous painting of the Sun King in France, all dressed up in his dance outfit, which included tights like this, which probably didn't embarrass him as much as it embarrasses me. They were very proud of their looks and the dance, and the musicians wrote for them, such as this, which is from a publication of 1612. It's called Ballet du Roi, Ballet of the King. Ballet of the King. It's what? The alto tone. Page 5 in 9 is fine. Okay. 1, 2, ready. We have one more piece that we want to play for you, but usually at this point of the presentation I like to ask if there are any questions from the audience, because what we do is weird, admittedly so. The instruments we play you do not see every day. That's why we play them. They're fun. They're interesting. The music that you hear, you do not hear every day. So we are very, we like our stuff, we like our instruments, we like to play it, but some people wonder, what are you doing? So if anyone's wondering, what are you doing, this is your chance to ask us. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
When did the double bass come in?
The double bass was, that's an interesting question. Double bass is not a member of the violin family. The double bass is the octave viola da gamba. And do you know another word, another name for the double bass? bass viol, right? And that's its true nature. It is a viol. It is tuned differently from the violins. It is shaped differently from them. If you look at the shoulders of the viola da gamba, they look like a double bass, not the big figure 8 figure of the violin family. So it was, I know in the 1612 publication of Terpsichore, it was already an established instrument. So it's been around in the 16th century at least. Thank you for the question. Any others? Yes, sir. Very good question. The question was, does a court have a set of musicians that they always went to? It differed from court to court. The publications normally are for 4 or 5 parts, so needed at least that many. More than that is an exception. We probably would be the musicians for the Holy Roman Emperor. But 5 or 6 was normal, and they would double on, as we are, on winds, and some would double on strings. They were very proficient in playing the different instruments. So it depended on the court. Mostly they would have a group of minstrels or musicians for performance at dances and at banquets. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Not a question, just to say you sound great.
Well, thank you.
I love this kind of music.
I love the sound too. You can't hear it anywhere except when you run around some music.
I know.
Music freaks like us.
I've been coming here for 4 years. I love it here.
Thank you. Nothing like a faithful audience. We have concerts at the university, and we've been doing it as the Musica Vera Consort for ever since I retired in 1999. And we have people who come back every time. And please watch the papers. We will have in late April or early May our big spring concert, which will be very varied with a lot of different things in it. And we would love to have you come and be our audience. Any other questions? If not, we're going to close with 4 gavottes. A gavotte is a bright, sprightly dance in 2, and they're very short. These are only 8 measures long. That's not a lot. But we segue one from the other, just the way a dance band does when it segues from one chart to another chart in a set. So this is the gavottes. It's from the Terpsichore collection of 1612, and it's our last number. We invite you to stay and hear the Gypsy Guerrilla Band, who will come after us. They are fabulous. And we invite you to stay and listen to the Gypsy Guerrilla Band. It is wonderful. Thank you.